Hey everyone, welcome back to Coffee Around the Globe. We took a break from the summer so that everyone can enjoy their vacation with their family, with their friends, and we hope that everyone is having a good season so far if you're playing the season, and hopefully you're having a season. Let's say that due to COVID and everything. Well, if you've previously watched the other discussions of Coffee Around the Globe, we welcome you back. And if this is your first time, then we welcome you. Let me share a little bit of information about what we're doing. So my name is Andrew Cummings. I'm the European Director for Newsleys Basketball. And we came up with this project so that people can hear from others. Other people that are involved in basketball and faith around the world, to be inspired, to be encouraged, or even just to learn something new. So we appreciate you watching in and tuning in with us. We hope that you have your cup of coffee or or any beverage, any hot beverage during these cold days, and hope that you have a great show with us. So let's get started. So I'm really excited to announce that today I have a special opportunity to have a discussion with an old friend of mine, a good friend I should say as well, an old roommate from the last couple of years. And so yeah, let's get started. His name is John Gilliland. He's 32 years old from Florida. I'm currently living for the last 3 years in Germany. He's a basketball coach, basketball player, baseball player. He's involved in youth groups, small group leader. He does a lot of things. Camp director. In simple terms, he's a basketball missionary. And so we appreciate him very much. And so yeah, we wanted to have him on live today with us to let him to about what he does. We hope the connection works. He's in Germany right now, so we hope the connection's going well and that he's able to have a good discussion with us. So, John, before we get started, I'm gonna have you. Can you turn your camera because right now it's sideways on my screen. So if you can turn it, yeah, right there. That's perfect. So that whenever I'm recording this as well, so I can for other people that are going to not be able to watch this live with us. So, as I said, this is John. John, how are you doing today?
Just hanging in there. It's cold.
That's
Have my, coffee.
cup of coffee for Coffee Around the Globe. All
Of
right.
course.
Well, we're excited. Thank you for taking the time out of the day, spending with us, and let's get started for the eighth episode of Coffee Around the Globe. So,
Nice.
for those watching, as I said, this is John Gilliland. John, you've been in Germany the last 3 years, right?
Yes, I have.
And what city is that?
Lauf and der Pignitz. It's near Nuremberg.
Okay, I see you have a little bit of accent in there. Have you been learning German? Been able to talk it pretty well?
Natürlich. Yes, I have. I have been able to talk a little bit of German, so.
Okay, awesome. So what are you doing there in Laos? I know you have a lot of hats to fill. Maybe take us through your day. Take us through a week. What is your job there?
So I am the head coach of the U14 boys, U16 girls, U18 girls, and also the Damen, which is a women's team. I also play for the first men's team. So my days are pretty busy. In the afternoons is when I do a lot of my coaching and meeting people. During the daytime is when I normally have just administration stuff to do. I I have to do some fundraising, but I also uh, find time to go to the gym for 2 hours early in the morning and try to get some shooting in. But now it's getting cold, so I don't do that because I have to go outside, and Florida boys don't go outside in the cold.
Has it been a good transition or a hard transition coming from Florida, where it's all warm and sunshine?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm I've been in Europe for a while now, so I've gotten used to it just a little bit. But anything below 60, I'm not happy with.
I understand. Understand. I'm a warm person myself, coming from Texas. But you mentioned a lot about sports. What about the face side? As in, like you, I think you told me one time that you meet with people once a week, once a month. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So during the summer, here in Laos, we have a basketball camp, and we get to ask at the end of the week, if you would like to know more about Jesus, or if you would like to talk about Jesus, or if you accepted Christ but don't really know who to talk to. That's where I step in, or we have stepped in the past, but where I have stepped in and just been able to meet with people just once a month, just because of school schedule and Corona and all this stuff. Just once a month is kind of the only way that they are able to meet, so that's perfectly fine. But I also coach them as well, so I still get to have that weekly, daily connection with them. But once a month, when we get to actually dig into who Jesus is to them, and what it means to be a Christian athlete in their life.
Okay. And is that hard for people in Germany or Europe to relate to? Like, do they put in a box Christianity and then another box basketball for example, for yourself, or is it together? How do you find?
There's many boxes, many boxes. There's school life and there's basketball, and then if they believe in Jesus and they follow him. He's in a separate, completely different box. So everything is completely separated. So really showing them that, hey, you can be a Christian athlete like in one thing. Like you don't have to separate it. So just trying to show them how to live their life as a Christian athlete.
Awesome, awesome, man. Like I said, you have a lot of hats, but also that means a lot of opportunities. That's so cool to hear, though, that you're able to be a coach for them, a mentor. You're showing people, you're showing the kids, showing the parents what it means to be more than an athlete. You know,
Exactly.
really
Yep.
cool. That's really cool to hear. And so, hey, just want to give a shout out to all those that are tuning in. Big Marvin, Z, Logan, a couple of other NRB players. So appreciate y'all tuning in. So John, yeah, let's get back to it. What about outside of Lauf? So I know Lauf is your, let's say, ministry. Is that the right term to put? Um,
Yes.
um, your local ministry, let's say that. And then you have an international ministry too, right? You work a little
Yes.
bit with Newsleys Basketball, a couple other ministries as well. Share with us what goes all into that.
It's, so I like you said, I go everywhere. Like I'm all over the place. If I have time to do it, I do it. If not, then I have to say I'm sorry, I have no time. But for example, I am going to Grimma, which is in North Germany, next week. It'll be my third time going there to do a camp. But I also go to Switzerland. I went to Hungary this over the summer. I went to Croatia over the summer. Like just, I mean, Croatia was a baseball camp and Hungary was a soccer camp. But I don't know anything about soccer, so I was kind of like, here, you can pass the ball. That's all I know. Pass it.
I'm sure they loved though that you were just being there and serving them. What about so you've been to a lot of countries, right? And so
Yes.
what would you say your experience was like each place? I know you can't possibly talk about each place, but maybe two places that you like the most and the reason why.
Just because I've been going there to these two places a lot. Um, the first place I love to get to do is Switzerland. I
Mm.
really love to go to Hinwil. Um, it's
What's
freezing.
it, a camp or?
It's a camp. It's a basketball camp that we partner news release partners with Athletes in Action, and we just it's a multi-sport camp, but I'm in charge of basketball.
Awesome.
So it's This last year, we had about 8, 9 kids. So it's always a small camp, but that means I get to actually have relationships with these kids, and I still talk to them, and they actually have already texted me on Instagram. I've signed up. I'm coming back. I heard you're coming back, so I'm coming. So I said, cool, invite your friends.
Awesome.
So it's in Hinwil is right outside of Zurich. So it's kind of like Lauf, a little bit smaller, but they speak Swiss German. I have no idea what they're saying, but it's okay.
Okay. You said,
Second
yeah, second
se
place.
second place is the little town of Grima that I'm going to next week. Just those kids are just amazing. The camp I'm doing now is a mini camp, like just kids that are about 7 to 12 years old. Um, they're full of energy. They just go and run, and they're always asking questions and wanting to talk German, and it's it's a lot of fun. And the summertime is like the older kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to talk German. They want to talk English. So they as soon as like oh, Americans coming, and the first word out of my mouth is Servus, like like hello. So it's like you're not American. Like, yes, I am American. I just can speak German.
That's
So it's just the relationships that I've built there are my two favorite places to go.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's a really cool opportunity that you have. Um, yeah, so you got started uh, with Newsleys basketball, right? How long ago was that? When was your first tour?
Well, my first tour, so I was usually kind of took over this organization,
Hmm.
kind of, but it was called Crossover International, but News Release kind of took it over, and I went on my first tour in 2012.
2012. Okay.
Yes, and that was to Romania, Cluj, Romania, and the second place I went to is Písek, Czech Republic.
Peace. I knew you were gonna bring up. I knew it. So, all right, we gotta stop right there for a second. So, if you know John, like I do, or even met him, his first sentence is "Hello, my name is John." His second sentence is "I'm from Czech." So, yes, he's from Florida, but he claims Czech. Písek is his home away from home. Let's say that in simple terms, right? And so,
Yep.
you gotta talk about that. So you went there on tour and you just fell in love with it, or what made it stand out to you?
Yes, and I'm Czech American. I'm not yeah, I'm Czech American to everyone watching. But it's the very, very, very first day that we arrived in Písek. Um, it was just it was I it, like it was crazy. I We got to church. Um, had a church service, and then there was an English camp that was before us, and they were leaving, so they got to do there was worship, English message, and I have never felt the presence of God stronger in a place. Like he just punched me in the chest, like I'm gonna do something great here.
Mm.
And it just wasn't me that felt it. It was our whole team that felt it. So all of us, like we toured the city. It's not very. It took 10 minutes. It's not a very big city, but it was all after the tour. All of us got together and was like, "Did you guys feel that at worship? Like, is it?" And there was like, "Yeah, like there's something big is going to happen here."
Mm.
And that was the hardest week of camp. Like, and the crazy part is like there wasn't that many kids that signed up for basketball. Um, so I ended up I didn't even help like I helped with the basketball for like two days of the week camp, and then I went to go help in the English camp,
Mm.
and that they had, and I just I just fell in love with those people, like the Czech people, and there is it's just home. Like I didn't want to leave. Like, I just felt like I needed to be there,
Mm.
and it's crazy because when I left, I talked to the pastor and we had a meeting, and he said like, yeah, like missionaries come here and they just stay for a week, like get the week high, and then go back, and they never talk to us again.
Mm.
Well, I was like, I want to be here. Like I don't want to. No, I don't want to be in Florida anymore. And I kept talking to them and bugging them, emailing them, like, hey, when can I come back? Where can like what's the deal? And I ended up going back there on and off, staying 3 months, 6 months at a time for the next 6 years.
Mm. Wow.
And Czech people, little just very shortly about Czech. Czech is the most atheistic country in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 1% of Czechs are Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So having someone who is tatted all over, I'm a Christian, and playing basketball, yeah, it was very difficult for me just because like this they were saying like there isn't like they would foul me extremely hard and tell me there is no God, and I would get up and run back to like next to him and say "Jesus stay," which is Jesus loves you in Czech, and they would just look at me like I was crazy.
But
And
the cool thing though with that, you have the opportunity with basketball is, yeah, they may not believe in God, but that's fine. And I think we're in the you believe we're in the same boat where someone doesn't have to believe in God for us to be their friend. You know,
right, exactly.
and that's what's so cool about basketball, that we form relationships with campers, with players, with kids, um, and I think it's really awesome that you were able to stay there and check multiple times, as well as now you're in Germany for 3 years, or the last 3 years, and who knows what the future is.
Exactly.
um, and so, yeah, so you mentioned a little bit that you were in Czech and then also now Germany, and then and I'm mentioning places that you played basketball. You played a game in Switzerland, you played in the USA, right? So real quick, in a couple of sentences, a couple of points, which has been the hardest to play basketball? Which country?
Definitely Czech Republic.
And how come is that? Is it more talented or physical or what?
They try and rip your head off. Like my this second, yeah, no, third game on tour, we played my former club, and I went to go set a pick, like a hard pick, because I was tired of being beaten up and thrown down. I was tired of it.
Hmm.
So I went to go set a hard screen on the pastor's son.
Hmm.
The pastor's son.
Hmm.
And he saw me trying to do this hard screen, and he dropped his shoulder and squared me right in the chest, and I had a concussion.
Yeah, well, that's the culture, right?
Yes.
It's probably nothing like, oh, I hate you or anything. It's just that's basketball um, on that side of the world. So I understand. I've had a couple of instances like that, I would say in Germany. But I think everywhere else in the world, except for USA, is very physical and a little bit more harder, I would say.
Yeah. It's they just try and take your it's slow, it's not very fast. They will shove you,
Hmm.
and you look at the ref and they'll say, play. Like, yeah,
Understand.
I just got thrown to the ground. So yeah, that was crazy.
Hmm. Understand. So let's switch up. Let's switch gears right now to the topic you know firsthand, and which is the reason why you're playing basketball in Germany, which is the reason why you're coaching in Germany, and that topic is faith. I know your story very well, but share with others who are tuning in, watching right now. We appreciate everyone watching too. even if it is not live. If you're watching on a later time, we appreciate you. So just want to say that. But back to it. I know your story very well, but share with us how or why um, is Jesus the most important person in your life?
Well, it is a really long story, as you know, but just to shorten it up, I was raised like every other American in not every other, but a lot of Americans in a Christian home. Went to church every Sunday. Mom and dad, praying, reading the Bible, and I wanted to be, because everyone seemed happy, so I wanted to be happy. At a young age, I accepted Christ. I really didn't know what I was doing because I didn't know really who God was, who God is.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of went through the motions and went to church and went to these Christian camps with my youth group, and basketball started. I started getting really good at basketball. I played baseball at a young age, all the way to 16. So I was very involved with sports, and my church was 30 minutes away, almost an hour away. So I really didn't have any Christian friends. Um, so I I was at a Christian camp in Pennsylvania, and I prayed to God, I was like, if you want me to actually believe that you are who you say you are, show me, and I'll believe. Like, you have 3 days. Like, I get a time that you have until the end of camp to do this.
Put God in a little pressure situation. Don't hurt no one.
So, and then he showed up on August 12th, 2003, and I just, the raw presence of him just filled the room, and I fell to my knees. I was crying. I was like, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have ever, you are who you say you are. And that's when I really started believing that, like, that's when I was saved, and I knew who God is. And I started asking my mom to drive me to church an hour away. I started, spending time with God. But then basketball season started, and that's when everything stopped again.
Mm.
And I moved to Florida.
Real quick, that's how a lot of people are, though, in
Yeah.
my experience, including myself, I would say. Whenever it's like Sunday, and then we're with God, we feel the presence, and then Monday through Saturday, it's tough. And so I'm really glad that you're sharing this experience, this next part of the story, because I feel like it relates to a lot of us. So if you're watching this, really listen up to this next part, because I think it doesn't only apply to non-believers, but also applies to believers as well.
So I moved to Florida because my parents got divorced, and I couldn't stand. I was in Washington, D.C., and I couldn't stand Tallahassee. I was like, this is a hick town. I don't like this. I don't know. I'm leaving. So I graduated high school there in Tallahassee, and then I went to even more of a hick town in Harrogate, Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
where I walked on the basketball team, earned my spot. I was a redshirt freshman. I told myself, I'm going to go to church. I'm going to church. I'm going to be plugged in BCM, Baptist Collegiate Ministries. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to fall away. I'm not. Well, something was missing.
Mm.
And I didn't know what I was getting. I came off redshirt. I became a basketball. I started as a freshman. Like, that's not really thought of unless you're at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So my head was as big as my flat right now, and I just completely forgot about God. I joined a fraternity, which is like a brotherhood for one who don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
I started drinking heavily.
Mm.
I dug myself into drugs heavily. I got kicked off the team because they found out, and then the school found out, and the NCAA found out, and I got kicked out. I was not allowed back on campus. I had to come and get my stuff and leave. And I was furious with God, and I ran from him for something I did. He didn't do nothing. I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran from him, just completely engulfed myself in drugs and alcohol. And then it's one night 11 years ago, I just felt God just pull out my heart and say, I have so much more for you than what you're doing. What are you doing with yourself?
Wow.
I have so much more. And I woke up my mom and I said, hey, I'm done drinking. I was drinking by myself. It was New Year, so I was like, Happy New Year's to me. But I poured out all my alcohol. I threw away all my drugs. And that was the hardest year of my life. Just trying to stay sober and trusting in God and just giving me strength. And I started going back to church. Started leading a basketball ministry at my church there. And then it'd be 9 years ago now. 9 years ago, this guy named Randy Kent. I don't know if he's going to watch this, but Randy, you're awesome.
Shout out to Randy in France.
Randy Kent came to my church and said, hi, I'm Randy Kent, and I play basketball and tell people about Jesus. And I was like, I want to do what you do. And he said, good, I want you on my team. And I want you on the team because he didn't have the, like, hey, you run the team or not. But he pointed me to news release, and I applied, and they accepted me. I was the first one they called out of 20 people that in Florida registered, so I felt pretty special. But and the rest is history. I've been, just telling people about God and going to all these places. I prayed a long time ago to God to make me like Paul, to go to the nations, and that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome, John. Yeah, we appreciate you very much as well from the New Release Basketball family. But not only us, campers appreciate you, kids appreciate you, parents appreciate you. And so we just want to thank you and just say, hey, you're doing a great job, and that you're doing what God's called you to do, and that in itself is success. So keep up the great work. I hope those watching were impacted by this discussion with John. John, thanks for taking the time out of your day, having the discussion with us and having a cup of coffee with us.
Of course.
And those, if you're watching this now or later, say a quick prayer for John. He's doing a lot right now, has a lot of plate, so say a quick prayer for him. And yeah, so thanks, John, again. And we thank everyone for tuning in on us. John, you got any last words for advice for anyone?
God's not done with you yet. And you're never too young. You are never too young to do something. David killed Goliath when he was a youth. So you're never too young if God's put something on your heart, you're never too young. And God's not done with you yet. He has something planned big just for you, and you probably don't know it yet, but when it happens, you're gonna be like, wow. Wow.
Amen. The best is yet to come for all those watching. So keep trusting in God, keep loving him, and he'll show you he will show you the way. And so it's time fitting. A person here, Lainey, just said proud of you. So kids, I'm proud of you. John, I'm proud of you. People are proud of you. So again, thanks for everyone watching in. Tune in the next time on the 9th episode of Coffee Around the Globe in 2 weeks on November 4th. So again, until then, be blessed and talk to y'all later. See you, John. Thanks again very
Ciao.
much.
Cheers. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.